Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to break down the first truck series race at Kansas Motor Speedway this weekend. It's a doubleheader at Kansas for the truck series. We got one on Friday, one on Saturday. This is for the truck race on Friday. I will not be able to get out a video for you for the truck race on Saturday, but I will be able to get out all my content on Patreon. So if you want to subscribe there, it's only $10 a month for all three NASCAR series. We have the Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and Truck Series, where you get my spreadsheet just with all these stats. There's way more on the Cup Series, along with my projections, and then I also write an article every week, give out my tier salary rankings and a cash score 4. So if you're into all of that, you should subscribe to the Patreon. It's really cheap, on a per race basis per month. I mean, because there's like 3 to 4 races every single weekend, it seems like, this year. So make sure to get in on that. If you want to follow me on social media, my Instagram is @NateLane_. My Twitter is @DFSNateLane. I'm really active on Twitter, talking about just sports in general, DFS. Really like to talk about all that kind of stuff for you guys. We got baseball starts today, so I'm excited for that. I don't do content for baseball, but basketball starts in a week, I guess like a week now, really, which is awesome. It's crazy. I'm so excited for that. Yeah, it's a week from today. Wow. So yeah. I'll be making content daily for basketball, and then when football season starts, I will too. And we'll see if college football is back, and I will be making content for that as well. But if it's not back, I mean, I won't be making anything. So stick around for all that kind of stuff. I'll be having stuff on Patreon for that as well. So yeah, let's get into the video. All right, so we have Kansas this week. Johnny Sauter's the most expensive driver, and I just don't get why DraftKings continues to price him at the highest driver. I mean, he's not good anymore. I mean, yeah, he's starting 18th, so I get the thought of pricing the guys in the backup high, but like that's not even that far back. I mean, 18th, yeah, it's good place differential upside, but it's not like in the 30s like they do with the Cup Series. But in the last 5 races, Johnny Sauter just has not been good. Average finish at 9.75, average position at 12.25, and 0 laps led. So I mean, you really need drivers to lead laps at that price range unless you're starting so far back. And if Johnny Sauter gets like a top 10, that's not going to do anything for you. And I honestly don't even know if he's going to get a top 10. He has had a rough year, just has not been very, very good this year. So yeah, I'm not really too high on Johnny Sauter. So we'll just skip over him, really. Not a guy I'm really interested in playing. But up next we have Ross Chastain at 11,000, starting 11th. Now this is a guy I do like. Ross Chastain, I think he only has one race here at Kansas in the Truck Series over the last years, but he won it. So he has average finish at first, best average finish. He has the 4th best average finish at intermediates and the 2nd best at large ovals. He has the best average position at Kansas. Only 12th best at intermediates and 13th at large ovals, but he's found ways to finish up front. When we come to laps led, he only has 185 laps led, which is not the most in the field. But I mean, look, Johnny Sauter and Brett Mov have the most in the field, and they've just not been that good this year. So yeah, I mean, it looks like Ross Chastain is a guy who could lead laps. He's not like my top choice lead laps. I think there's a few guys that more than likely lead them, but he has that upside, and he has the place differential upside. And I do like Ross Chastain this week. In the last 5 races, he has an average finish of 6.25, an average position of 9, and 20 laps led. So, I mean, he has the upside to lead laps. I think most of the races he's ran this year have been with Kyle Busch, and we don't have Kyle Busch on his slate, so this could be a race where he does lead laps. I would not expect him to early, but later in the race, I expect him to at least be contending for a win. And if he's contending for a win, he's definitely in the potential to lead laps. Next, we have Brandon Jones at 10,600, starting 4th. Jones is in the number 51 truck for Kyle Busch Motorsports, so he's going to be in the fastest truck in the field, just like he was at Pocono, where he won that race. He has ran Kansas here in the Truck Series in the last 2 years with 7th place finish, and then he has at the intermediates an average finish at 10th, which ranks 12th, and he has the 3rd best average finish at large ovals. So, I mean, the numbers don't look great for Brandon Jones, but, I mean, now we're getting him where, I mean, in theory, he should be the best driver in the field. He's an Xfinity regular, someone who's, going to make the playoffs in the Xfinity Series, not just, some, bottom and feeder guy. No, he's a good driver in the Xfinity Series. But, I mean, to be honest, he's not, someone, usually when I get that 51 truck, we've had it be Kyle Busch. I mean, it's usually Kyle Busch, but, I just, you expect him to win, and honestly, I mean, I don't know if I just fully expect Brandon Jones to win. I mean, he did win at Pocono, and he led, I think only 11 laps that race, and he wanted to lead laps starting 4th, and I could totally see him getting up front, but, I mean, I just don't think it's, a lock button. If he was starting 10th, I'd be like, okay, yeah, this is, a lock for Brandon Jones, or even on the pole, and I think he's a very, very good play, and he's one of my favorite plays on the slate, but it's not, this lock button that I just want to press on for Brandon Jones. Next, we have Austin Hill at 10,300, starting 6th. And Austin Hill's been I mean, very, very good this year, but recently he's been like struggling. I mean, we saw him at Kentucky struggle, and I think it was whatever the race before. Or no, wait, yeah, Kentucky and Texas, those two races, he struggled. I wasn't like really able to get the lap sled that we've been accustomed to seeing from him, but he does have. I mean, out of all the guys that I really think are like actual possible lap leaders, he has the most in the field. I don't think Sauter or Moffitt, or well, maybe Moffitt could. Yeah, Moffitt could definitely lead laps, but I don't think Sauter's leading any laps today or tomorrow. But Austin Hill, I mean, he's been a good lap leader. He's in a good spot to lead laps. Been fast this year, but he just seems like recently he's been burning us. He does have 65 laps led in the last 5 races, but most of those come from Pocono. He has an average finish of 4th in the last 5, an average position of 8.4. He has been finishing high, but it just seems like it's been a struggle for Austin Hill to get out front. I do not hate the play. I think it's a solid play, starting 6th at 10,300 with a lap upside, especially with no Kyle Busch in the field. But he's not my favorite to lead laps. Like I like Brandon Jones to lead laps more. Ross Chastain maybe, and we'll get into like Ekes, who I definitely like a lot more to lead laps. So I think Hill's fine. It's just not like the top play I'm here for me. Matt Crafton starting 17th, 10,000 though I do like. He has the 3rd best average finish at Kansas, 2nd best at intermediates, and 4th best at large ovals. Now, those stats are not like what has reflected this year. He has not nearly been as fast this year, but recently Crafton has like found his pace. It seems like in the last 5 races, an average finish of 6.75, an average position of 11.5. He's not going to lead you laps, but he starts far enough back, and he's not 11,000, where that could be enough to pay off a salary. Like if you wanted to like play like Brandon Jones and Matt Crafton in a line together, like I don't hate that. I think that's a good way to go, and I think Crafton's in for another top 5 to 10 finish, and that could really pay off a salary for you. I think he ended up finishing 3rd at Texas last week, so he get a track that's similar to the 1.5s have been like historically his better tracks. So. I mean, we haven't seen Matt Crafton go to victory lane in a while. He's on a long winless streak, and I mean, maybe he would like to break it here. But I mean, I expect like a top 5 to 10 for Matt Crafton. 10,000 is a little bit expensive for him, but I think even still, it should be fine. Next, we have Brett Moffitt starting 2nd at 9,800, and Kansas hasn't been like one of the best tracks for Brett Moffitt, but he has been very good at the intermediates, the 5th best intermediate average finish, and the 8th best at large ovals. He does have the 4th best average position, though, at Kansas. He does have the best average position at intermediates and the 2nd best at large ovals. And when it comes to laps led, he's 2nd most in the field. And now the guys who I actually think can lead laps, he's the most. So 381 laps led over the last 2 years for Brett Moffitt intermediates. Only 4 at Kansas, though. That does scare me. But, I mean, if you look at the laps led for Kansas, like, Stuart Freeze is not leading laps this year, so he's the highest one. And then Enfinger, who really hasn't led a ton of laps as of late either, so... but yeah, Moffitt I think could lead laps. He starts on 2nd place outside the pole. If he gets that jump on the start of the race, then he's going to be a great play. I don't know how many people are going to look to go to him because he hasn't been like the dominant lap leader this year. I mean, if you look in the last 5 races, he does have 33 laps led, but that is from the race he did start on the pole, which was 2 weeks ago at Kentucky, and he was able to finish well in that race, I believe. Had some penalties that really cost him from leading more laps, but yeah, I think Moffitt's fine. He's a good play. I don't know how highly owned he's going to be, and I think he's fine. I do like Brett Moffitt, average finish of 7.75 in the last 5 and 9.25 average position, but he's not my favorite to get out front and lead the laps. I like Ekes on the other side of that starting lineup. This package has been, well, that's really more for the Cup Series, but still, it's been like harder to pass in these races, and I mean, starting up front might very, very much help them. Todd Gilliland, though, is interesting. I have not really been on Todd Gilliland all year, but this might be a race I'm actually on. I'm kind of interested in playing him. Only has 1 race at Kansas in a truck series where he finished 3rd, but he does have the 8th best average finish at intermediates and the 11th best at large ovals, the 5th best average position at Kansas, 7th best at intermediates, 9th best at large ovals. He he doesn't have any laps led here, but he does have a decent bit of intermediates and large ovals. He's just in a good starting position in 3rd place, where he could, if he finds a way to get out front and lead laps, I don't think people are going to play him. And I'm not saying, like, I would expect either Moffitt or Ekes to lead the good bit early, but it's not, like, out of the realm of possibility that Todd Gilliland does. And I think at that point, he's actually a very solid play. Starting 3rd place, 9,600. If he leads, like, 20 laps, finishes, well, he needs to lead a little more than 20. If he leads, like, 30, 40 laps, finishes in the top 5, he's going to be a great play. But, I mean, that's not really something I'm trying to bank on here, but I think it's, like, a very interesting low in GPP play here. So Gilliland's fine for me. I just do like his starting spot. If he was starting like 8th, it would be like, okay, I'm really not interested in playing him, but I think he could get up front early. Next we have Stuart Friesen starting 14th. And Friesen, I mean, he has 93 laps led here at Kansas, which we just saw. But the thing for me with Friesen, he's just been running terrible this year. I mean, you look in the last 5 races, an average finish of 10.2, average position of 13.2, and 0 laps led. I mean, I guess it's not terrible, but it's nothing really that great. And starting 14th, you need Friesen probably to either lead laps or get up inside like the top 7, and I just don't see that really happening. Not someone I'm very much interested in, especially when I can just play Moffitt or Crafton or Ekes or even Ankrum, to be honest. So, yeah, Friesen's just not someone I'm really too interested in. For 200 less, we have Tyler Ankrum starting 9th. I mean, these are tracks, nothing special for him. 9th best average finish at Kansas, 13th best at intermediates, 14th at large ovals. The numbers just don't shoot out anything like important. 0 lap sled here over the last few years. Average finish of 9.6 in the last 5 races, and average position of 12.2 in the last 5 races. So I just expect him to finish around where he starts, and I just don't really see the point of really playing him. He just doesn't have a lot of upside to me. I mean, yeah, we've seen him win it. We saw him win at Kentucky last year. He can lead laps, but it's just less likely than someone like Christian Ekes at 8,900 starting on the pole. And Ekes has been fast this year. One of the other 2 trucks for KBM Motorsports, Kyle Busch Motorsports. He's been really fast, and he would have won last. I mean, like, it sucks. Like, he would have won last week if Kyle Busch was not in the field, and he probably should have won at Pocono too if he didn't wreck out. So that's unfortunate. But at intermediates, he's the 7th best average finish and the 6th best at large ovals, 2nd best average position at intermediates, and 6th best at large ovals. When we come to lap sled, I mean, he's only raced this year, and he has 127 lap sled at intermediates already and 70 at large ovals, so that's very good. Never raced at Kansas before in the Truck Series. And then we come to the last 5 races. He has an average finish of 4.75. That's 3rd best in the field behind Brandon Jones, who's ran 1 race, and then the best driver so far in the Truck Series this year, Austin Hill. 6.4 average position is the most outside of Brandon Jones, who's ran 1 race. So yeah, Ekes has been very fast this year. 97 laps led in the last 5 races is the most in the field. So I mean, Ekes has looked really good at these tracks. He should be able to get out on a good jump to the early lead here. I don't see any reason to just like fade him. He just looks great. And he's 8,900. Like, we've been getting Christian Ekes down to 7K range or like very low 8K range as of late. And so people are gonna be like, ooh, that seems like a little expensive for Ekes. But I mean, he's been running so well that I think he should. I think he's the favorite to lead at least the early stage, and maybe even more. And maybe he gets his first win finally here. I think he's a very good pick to win this race. If it's not gonna be Brandon Jones, I'm sure he's probably the most popular pick to win the race. But Ekes is just as good as any. I've been saying it all year. He's one of the most talented drivers in the Truck Series, and I think he's going to have a very long, good Cup career ahead of him. And now, I mean, he starts on a pole. He's been fast, and I don't see any reason why he doesn't lead a bunch of laps. Spencer Davis starting 20th, 8,800 is too much for me to want to play here. An average fin or the 20th best average finish at intermediates and large ovals. That's just not something that really jumps off the page. Last 5 races, he has an average finish at 18.4 and an average position at 19.4. So no really room to move up for Spencer Davis, in my opinion here. Up next, we have Ben Rhodes starting 5th, which I do think is a okay play. I mean, he's not going to lead laps this race, and he starts 5th. It's just like last week I loved Ben Rhodes because he had some place differential upside, and he was like really good at Texas, I guess, or Kentucky. Yeah, Texas. So this week we don't really have that as much. In the last 5 races, he does have an average finish at 8.6 and an average position of 9. So he can hang around that top 5 the whole race, but I just don't really. He's not really one of my favorite plays here. Sheldon Creed starting 10th at 8,400. Definitely not someone I like to look at for the past years, but Sheldon Creed's been fast this year. Average finish of 10.8 in the last 5 and the average position of 7 with 58 laps led in the last 5 races. So that's really good for Sheldon Creed, and he starts 10th. He has some place differential upside. He's definitely someone who I do think can lead laps. He's looked fast this year. He was leading a good bit early in the Texas race, and he had a flat tire, went like 3 laps down and ruined it for him. Thank God I faded him because Kyle Busch, but I mean, it's just, he looks fast. I don't know. He's not like my favorite to lead laps. Like, I definitely like Ekes more to lead laps, like Brandon Jones more to lead laps. I like Moffitt more to lead laps, but I think Creed, just because of where they start, but if Creed gets up front, he could lead like later in the race for sure. He's not going to lead early, and he's got place differential upside. He's been a top 5 truck all year, so at least he has that going for you. Decent floor with some upside. So I do like Sheldon Creed. I'll probably be playing a little bit of him. Up next we have Tanner Gray, who got priced all the way up to 8,200, and now I just don't like him. I mean, like, Tanner Gray was someone I've been liking to play all year because he was like in the 6K or 7K range, but now he's 8,200, and that's just not something I'm really interested in. I mean, I think he's just going to hang around that 13th starting position. I mean, his averages at this track and these type of tracks are around that. Last 5 races, average finish of 11. So yeah, if he gets up to 11th spot, that's fine, but like, do I really want to play him, or do I really want to play Sheldon Creed for 200 or more, who should have a top 5 and could lead laps? That's just my thought on it. And even same thing with Zane Smith and Grant Enfinger. Like, I'd rather play those guys than Tanner Gray. I don't know why they priced him up so high. Now we have Zane Smith at 8,000 starting 7th, and he was like one of my favorite plays in the Truck Series race last year. And I mean, early on, that looked so good. I mean, he passed Kyle Busch and was leading laps early, and he would have been the optimal if he didn't have a flat tire go or something wrong with a tire at the end of the race that put him a few laps down. But, I mean, he was looking very, very good at those. He still has the best average finish at intermediates and the best at large ovals. I mean, it is a much smaller sample size for Zane Smith, but he's been running very good at these types of tracks all year. Third best average position at intermediates and the best at large ovals. In the last 5 races outside of that DNF, he has an average finish at 8.66 and an average position of 8.25 with 49 laps led, which is 4th most in the field. So, I mean, yeah, he can lead laps. I mean, if he has a fast of a truck as last week, he could drive straight through the field and pass Ekes again and lead laps. So, I think Zane Smith has that upside. I feel like he has a win. I feel like him and Ekes definitely have wins coming for them soon this year. And I think this is as good a track as any for either one of them to get wins. And there might be 2 of my favorite plays again on this slate. Next we have Grant Enfinger at 7,900, starting 8th place. Enfinger's fine. I mean, he's been very good at these types of tracks. 5th best average finish at Kansas, 6th best at intermediates, and 5th best at 1.5 or at large ovals. 3rd best at average position at Kansas, 6th best at intermediates, and 4th best at large ovals. So these are the type of tracks that Enfinger definitely excels in. In the last 5 races, an average finish of 9.8 and an average position of 9.4. With only 7 laps led scares me a little bit, but he isn't starting like 4th or 3rd this week like he's been recently. He starts 8th, so there's that place differential upside, and I think he has the upside to lead laps, and he should be able to like at least contend for a top 5 in this race. So I think Enfinger's fine. I just don't like how he's been running as recently. He hasn't been like as fast. It just seems like some of these other trucks have been faster than the Thor Sport trucks this year. So. But I think he's fine. And he's only 7,900, so that's good too. I mean, DraftKings continues to price him too low. At least he's not like 7,200 anymore, but yeah, he's too cheap at 7,900, and I think he's an interesting play. 7,700 Brennan Poole, it's a little scary to me. Poole's been unwell here or at tracks like this. The 17th best average finish at intermediates and the 15th best at large ovals, 20th best at intermediates, 19th best at large ovals. We come into the last 5 races, he's an average finish at 18th and an average finish at 19.75, which just isn't like great. Like if he was like back down to 6K range where we've been getting Brennan Poole most this year, then yeah, that's a good play. But at 7,700 starting 25th, I don't know. It's just a little bit scary. I just don't like where he's starting. DraftKings actually they usually don't like aggressively price the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, but this week they did, and I think Poole is someone that I might just not really be looking to because I don't know how much upside he really has. Clay Greenfield, again, is too expensive. He'll finish like 30th. I don't know why he's 7,600. He's always too expensive. I don't know what is going through their mind to say, we're going to price him up so high. Don't play Clay Greenfield. Jordan Anderson, 7,400 starting 32nd, is kind of interesting. This year he's just been not good. Average finish of 27.6 in the last 5 and average position of 25. And he's 7,400. Like, again, if he was like in the 6K range like we've been getting him at for most of this year, he'd be fine. But starting 32nd at 7,400, I just don't really like that. I'm not really excited about that play. Rafael Lessard starting 12th should be able to hang around that position all day. And in all honesty, the value down here kind of sucks. So that might be the guy that we need to play. KBM truck, I say it every week. That truck's fast. He has upside. Last 5 races, an average finish of 13.75, an average position of 12.5. So I think Rafael Lessard should at least be able to get you to finish where he starts. But I mean, he could get you a top 10, and I mean, he could, I guess, theoretically compete for a top 5, but I wouldn't really expect that from him. Ty Majeski at 7,100 starting 19th might be a solid play as well. If we look at his last 5 races this year, he has an average finish of 16th and an average position of 15.25. We've seen him have the potential to get a top 10, so I think I like him more than Lessard at 7,200. But my favorite play, again, is going to be Derek Kraus. He started, I think, 17th last week. This week he starts 15th. And, I mean, Kraus has just been fast. He should be able to get you a top 10 again. That's what he's been doing, like, all year. An average finish of 10.2 in the last 5 and an average position of 11.4. And I just like him better than Lessard and Majeski because I think he just has more upside to, like, actually get a top 5, which is probably unlikely, but it's there. The possibility is there. I think the probability of him getting a top 5 is more likely than Ty Majeski or Lessard. So I do like Kraus here starting 15th. He's had a fast truck all year. Should be able to get you a top 10. I would say he's most likely out of those 3 to get a top 10. And, I mean, he could just end up paying off that salary. He's only 6,900, so I do like Derek Kraus this week. Robbie Lyons at 6,700. Yeah, I mean, he's raced 1 race in the Truck Series this year, finished 20th, so I think he's fine. He starts 34th, so I think that's he's probably not going to finish 20th again, but he'll probably finish like 25th. And if we need some place differential here on his slate, so I think he's someone to go to for that. Chase Purdy starting 16th. You don't really look at his stats in the past because he's in a much better truck this year, but he still hasn't been running well. Average finish of 26 in the last 5 and average position of 24. So Chase Purdy, not someone I'm looking for. Everyone always is like, we're going to play Chase Purdy this week because he's in a good truck. Well, he's not a good driver, so I don't know why we continue to play him. Tate Fogelman at 6,500 starting 28th. I think Fogelman's okay. He was chalk last week and busted. It was kind of unfortunate for me because I ate that chalk. Should not have done that. But he only has an average finish of 25.33 in the last 5 races, and average position of 25.25 in the last 5. So I don't really like the upside we can get here from Tate Fogelman. I like Corey Roper more because, he's just been running better. We just saw he starts one spot less than him, but has an average finish of 22 and an average position of 23.6 in the last 5. So I do like Corey Roper more than those guys. Austin Wayne Self's average position is 20.25 and his average position is 22.5, and he starts 23rd. So that's the problem with him. If he was 26, like 28, 27, 26, but he's not. He's starting 23rd, so I don't think there's a lot of upside there. Out of those 3, I'd say my favorite one to play is probably Roper. I think Self could finish higher, but he just doesn't have as much place differential upside because I think Roper and Self could probably both get top 20s or at least 20th spot, and then there's more place differential there for Roper. The value on this slate is tough if you haven't been able to tell. DraftKings really priced these guys aggressively, which I love because that means there's not going to be as much chalk, but it's hard to find some value on this slate. Dawson Cram is not someone I want to play. He's going to finish in the 30s. Spencer Boyd starting 30th, though, isn't bad. He does have a 12th best average finish at Kansas with a 17th place finish here last year. But this year, he just hasn't been good. Average finish of 26.8 in the last 5 races and an average position of 28.8. But if the one thing I would say about Boyd is I feel like there is the potential for him to crack inside that top 20, where a lot of these guys down here, I don't think that possibility is there. So I think Boyd is, out of all those guys, probably the best play. We're not playing Norm Benning. We're not playing Jennifer Jo Cobb. We're not playing Ray Cicerelli. We're not playing Brian Dozit. Let's take a look at Corbin Forrester, but I still am really not too interested in playing him. Average finish of 30.25 in the last 5 and average position of 28. If he was cheaper, maybe, but because I think he has more potential to finish inside that top 30 versus some of those other guys I just named. Cody Rohrbach seems like he wrecks every single race. 4,900 starting 29th. Last 5 has an average finish of 30.75 and an average position of 30. But then I think there is one guy that is pretty valuable on this slate, and it's our good friend Timmy Hill. Starts 24th place. The last 5 races has an average finish of 20.5 and an average position of 23. So if he finishes anywhere between 20 and 24, he's going to pay off that salary, even though it's just not fun. It's not a fun play. There's really not a ton of upside there for him. He's just so cheap that he's a fine play. So if you want to, if you want to get a few guys up top, I think Timmy Hill's the guy you got to go to down here. It's crap from 6,000 on down, and then it's Timmy Hill. So I expect him to be chalky because of that, and I think people will realize that. I don't think anyone, no one ever plays Norm Benning, Jennifer Jo Cobb, Cicerelli, Dozit, Rohrbach. I don't even know who Kevin Donahue is, and Natalie Decker. No one plays those guys ever because they know they're bad. But Timmy Hill at least has some, potential to actually stay in his starting spot. Kevin Donahue is driving for the truck Josh Ramey usually drives, by the way, and that's not a fast truck, so don't play Kevin Donahue. So yeah, it's pretty much all I got in the Truck Series race. It's a tough slate, not a lot of value, but I don't think you have to play these guys up top. You can just make a core of Zane Smith, Eckes, Sheldon Creed, and be okay, and then play some of the guys in the 6 case. But I think there is Brandon Jones, Austin Hill, Chastain have a ton of upside, Matt Crafton. So yeah, it's a slate where I don't think there's going to be a ton of chalk, which I absolutely love. I hate when it's just super chalky slates. The second truck races, I'm sure a few drivers will wreck, and they'll be starting dead last, and everyone's going to play them. It's just going to be well, it's really hard to get different here because if you don't play these guys, you're not going to win. So yeah. But that's really all I got to say on this slate. I hope you guys really enjoyed watching this video. If you make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. All those things really help me out, help me grow this channel. We've been doing pretty well so far, growing every single race, every single week, getting new subscribers, new followers on Twitter. So all that stuff's I'm really grateful for all that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you win some money this week. This weekend we got 4 NASCAR races, and I hope you're successful in all of them.